I don't think I ever told you guys about the time that I was interviewed to be a guest on the Ellen Degeneres show. Um, it was in 2018, and my story and Sophia's story was going viral across the world, and people tagged the Ellen Degeneres show, and they reached out, and I remember setting up a time to be interviewed, and they, told you that you might not be picked. And I honestly didn't think that we would get picked. I remember being interviewed and asked what the Ellen show meant to us. And I remember sharing a story about when Sophia was really little, she would sit in her high chair and we would watch the Ellen show. Sophia always loved music. And, so we would watch while I was making dinner, and she would sit in her chair and dance to the music. And another thing about Sophia is she would laugh anytime someone around her would laugh. So if the audience would laugh, she would just laugh with it. It was pretty funny. And, despite everything going on and the stress that we were dealing with, it always just was a nice routine for us to hear the music and laugh and have fun. So anyway, they said, either way, if we don't choose you, we're going to send you a big basket full of stuff. And I gave them my address, and they did not pick us, and they did not send us a basket, which is fine. But I just thought it was really cool to even have the possibility of that happening. My goal in my activism was to bring awareness to as many people as possible. And I always said that I didn't want to change Sophia for the world. I wanted to change the world for Sophia. And I was pretty naive back then, thinking, if everyone in the world knows who Sophia is, the majority of them can see her differences and look beyond it and get to know her and love her and have their worlds change for the better for knowing her as she did my world. And there are a lot of people who do love Sophia and the amazing community that we have built together. I'm so grateful for. But I just wanted to bring the issues of people with facial differences to the mainstream, and it was like I would always get right to the cusp of it and never quite get there. Anyway, I just thought that was a fun story. I don't know why that popped into my mind, but before I started my activism, I weighed whether I was going to do it or not, because we had lived a private life. And so it was a really big deal for me to share our story online. I remember I had a dream that Ellen DeGeneres interviewed me. And then the next day I had a dream that Oprah interviewed me. So I thought, like, oh my gosh, years later, I am being interviewed to possibly be a guest. This is going to happen. How cool. But it didn't happen. The story was going viral throughout the world. That's pretty mainstream, but there's a certain level of mainstream that I just knew it would be harder to break into with my work with facial differences, because of the continued bias against it. I had previously worked with larger organizations, and they would want to share my story or use my image because of the work that I had done with healthcare and fighting against hate online. And I noticed that oftentimes they would pick images where my daughter was looking towards me, or I was cradling her where her face wasn't showing. So anyway, when you work in activism, there is things that are advocated for that people care about more, and disabilities typically down low on that list. And then facial differences is even lower. So